Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you something. People think addiction is always about something negative. But when it comes to love and relationships, the right kind of addiction can change everything. See, if you want a man truly hooked on you, if you want him to be thinking about you when you ain't even in a room, then you got to understand the power of silence. Because silence, baby, silence is louder than words. Sometimes silence is one of the most underestimated powers in a relationship. People think power always comes from how loud you can talk, how many points you can make, or how fast you can respond. But the truth is, silence can say more than 1,000 words ever could. A woman who knows how to use silence strategically can draw a man in deeper than constant conversation ever will. Because silence, when used right, doesn't mean weakness. It means control. It means you understand that you don't have to fill every gap, you don't have to explain every feeling, and you don't have to fight every battle with words. Men are naturally curious creatures. What they can't figure out, they chase. What they don't fully understand, they pursue. Silence creates that mystery. When a man sees that you don't feel the need to tell him every single thought on your mind, it unsettles him in the best way. He starts asking himself questions he never thought about before. What's she thinking? Why isn't she reacting? Why isn't she calling back immediately? That curiosity begins to grow into interest, and that interest turns into an addiction. Because the unknown pulls harder than the known. And silence makes a man realize that he doesn't have you all figured out. In relationships, too many people think talking more means loving more. But sometimes the less you say, the stronger your impact becomes. For example, when an argument breaks out, silence becomes your greatest weapon. A man is wired to win in confrontation. He wants the last word. He wants to prove his point. He wants to walk away feeling victorious. But when you meet his frustration with silence, suddenly the victory feels empty. Now he's left wrestling with his own words, hearing the echo of what he said, and realizing that maybe he didn't sound as right as he thought. Silence forces him to reflect because you didn't give him more noise to drown out his conscience. That reflection is powerful. It makes him sit with his actions, his choices, and his tone. It makes him respect you because you didn't need to raise your voice to make your point. Another reason silence is powerful is because it teaches value. Think about it. Anything rare feels more valuable. Diamonds are valuable because they're not everywhere. Your words, your energy, your presence should feel like that. If you give them too freely, they lose weight. But when you're selective, when you let silence create space, a man starts cherishing the times when you do speak, when you do share, when you do open up. That difference makes your words more meaningful. He listens more closely because he knows you don't speak just to fill air, you speak with intention. Silence also communicates self-control. A man gets addicted to a woman who shows that she doesn't let her emotions run wild every time. Silence says, I know my worth. I don't need to react to everything. I don't need to beg, explain, or justify. I am enough as I am. That calm energy pulls in men because men don't crave chaos as much as people think they crave peace. And peace often comes wrapped in silence. Now, don't mistake silence for coldness. It's not about shutting someone out. It's about knowing when to let your presence speak instead of your mouth. It's about letting your energy, your confidence, and your stillness do the work. There's a difference between ignoring someone and wisely choosing silence. One pushes a man away, the other makes him step closer. When a man experiences that kind of silence, it stays on his mind. He begins to crave the moments when you do share your voice because it feels earned. He remembers the calm you bring when life gets noisy. He starts associating your silence with strength, your mystery with value, and your energy with something he can't find anywhere else. That's how addiction works. It's not about overwhelming someone with too much. It's about giving just enough to make them want more. So silence, when understood and applied, becomes one of the most powerful tools a woman can have in a relationship. It's not about saying nothing. It's about saying everything without words. It's not about being absent. It's about being present in a way that makes him lean in closer. The right kind of silence is magnetic. It makes him listen harder, think deeper, and chase longer. It makes him addicted, not to noise, not to drama, but to the peace and mystery that only you can provide. Men are built with a natural instinct to chase, to pursue, and to win. That's why mystery is one of the strongest forces in attraction. When everything about you is available, when every detail is shared, when every question is answered right away, a man feels like there's nothing left to discover. And let me tell you something, discovery is what keeps a man hooked. See, men respect mystery because it makes them feel like there's always another level, another layer, another piece of you worth learning. Constant availability removes the chase, and without the chase, the excitement fades. Think about it like this. When something is rare, people value it more. When something is always sitting on the shelf, people stop noticing it. It doesn't mean it has no worth, but it means it has no urgency. A man who knows you'll always answer his call within 2 seconds, always say yes to every request, always rearrange your world just to make him comfortable, he starts to take it for granted. Not because he's evil, but because human nature works that way. But when you create mystery, when you're not constantly available, he begins to notice your value. He realizes that your time is precious, that your energy is not unlimited, and that being around you is not something to be assumed, it's something to be earned. Mystery doesn't mean playing games or being fake. It means understanding that you don't have to explain every detail about yourself all at once. It means leaving some room for him to wonder, to question, to be curious. Men are problem solvers by nature. If you hand him the solution before he even starts the puzzle, the game is over. But if you keep parts of yourself tucked away, not in a dishonest way, but in a way that says, there's more to me than you can see right now, he will keep coming back to learn more. That curiosity keeps him engaged. Let's talk about constant availability during conflict. When you make yourself available for every argument, every little drama, every chance to prove a point, you drain yourself and feed his ego at the same time. But when you step back, when you choose not to always respond, when you decide to stay mysterious instead of predictable, you shift the dynamic. Now he has to figure out what's going on in your head. Now he has to reflect instead of react. That silence mixed with mystery makes him respect you because you didn't give him the satisfaction of knowing exactly how you felt the second he wanted it. Mystery also works in everyday life. If you're always telling a man exactly where you are, what you're doing, who you're with, every second of the day, he stops asking, he stops caring, not because he doesn't love you, but because you've taken away the opportunity for him to be curious. But when you hold back some details, when you allow some parts of your life to remain yours, he begins to wonder. That wondering builds respect because it tells him you're not just living through him, you're living for yourself. And trust me, men are drawn to women who have their own lives, their own dreams, their own worlds that can't be fully captured in one conversation. Here's the truth. A man respects what he has to work for. If everything comes too easily, he may enjoy it for a while, but he won't treasure it long term. Constant availability feels easy, but mystery feels valuable. When you're not always there on demand, when you don't always jump just because he calls, he learns to appreciate the moments you do share. He learns to see you not as someone who revolves around him, but as someone he has to rise up to meet. That right there is what makes a man addicted. He knows he can't be lazy with you. He knows he has to keep chasing, keep learning, keep proving himself. Men don't fall in love with everything they know. They fall in love with the things they want to know more about. Mystery keeps that spark alive. It makes him lean in instead of leaning back. It makes him call you again, not because you begged for attention, but because he couldn't get you out of his mind. And once a man starts thinking about you when you're not around, once you take up that space in his imagination, you've already got him hooked. Mystery builds respect, and respect builds addiction. If you want him to stay drawn to you, don't give him the whole story on the first page. Let him turn the chapters. Let him lean into the unknown. Let him realize that you are a book worth reading all the way to the end. Confidence is one of the most attractive qualities a person can have. And when that confidence is quiet, calm, and unshakable, it pulls a man in like a magnet. A woman who carries quiet confidence doesn't need to shout about who she is. She doesn't need to prove herself through constant validation or over-explaining. She simply knows her worth, and that presence alone is powerful enough to capture attention. Quiet confidence is not arrogance. It's the steady energy that says, I know who I am, and I don't need to convince you. That kind of energy is irresistible to a man. See, men are used to people competing for their attention. They're used to people trying hard to impress them, trying to show off, trying to be noticed. But when a woman shows up with quiet confidence, she flips the script. Instead of chasing, she attracts. Instead of begging for attention, she commands it without a word. It makes a man lean in because he wants to know what makes her so grounded, so sure of herself. It's the mystery of strength without noise. Quiet confidence is shown in how you carry yourself. It's in the way you walk into a room without needing to announce it. It's in how you can sit in silence and still own the space. It's in how you handle conversations without trying to dominate them, but also without shrinking back. A man notices that kind of energy because it's rare. And when he notices, he starts respecting it. Respect leads to admiration, and admiration leads to a deeper connection. Think about relationships. When insecurity takes over, it often shows up as neediness. Constant calls, constant questions, constant worry about where he is or what he's doing. That doesn't draw a man closer. It pushes him away. But when you have quiet confidence, you don't need to chase or check up constantly. You trust yourself enough to know that if a man is truly for you, he will show it. That calm assurance makes a man feel safe, because it tells him you're not going to fall apart over every little thing. You know your value, and you're not afraid of losing someone who doesn't see it. Quiet confidence also shines in moments of conflict. Anyone can raise their voice and argue. Anyone can try to win a fight by being the loudest. But the woman who stays calm, who stays steady, who doesn't lose control of her emotions, leaves a stronger impact. A man remembers that. He respects that because it shows maturity, patience, and strength. It shows that you're not desperate to prove yourself. You already know your worth. That kind of composure makes him want to step up his game because he realizes he can't shake you easily. There's also something deeply attractive about a woman who is comfortable with silence. Quiet confidence doesn't need constant attention to feel validated. You can sit across from a man, not say much, and still make him feel your presence. That's because confidence radiates in more than just words. It radiates in your posture, your energy, your eyes, and the way you carry yourself. A man becomes addicted to that kind of presence because it doesn't overwhelm him. It intrigues him. He wants to know more. He wants to stay closer because he feels peace in your energy. Quiet confidence is also about independence. It doesn't mean you don't want love or companionship, but it means you don't define yourself only by it. You have your own dreams, your own passions, your own sense of direction. That independence wrapped in calm assurance makes a man respect you more deeply. He sees you as a partner, not a project. He understands that being with you is a privilege, not a rescue mission. And once a man feels that way, he doesn't just want you. He starts realizing he needs to rise to the level